حضورنا الكريم، نرجو منكم أخذ مقاعدكم. برنامج الملتقى سيبدأ بعد قليل. حضورنا الكريم، نرجو منكم كرماً أخذ مقاعدكم. الحفل سيبدأ بعد قليل. حضورنا الكريم، الحفل سيبدأ بعد دقائق قليلة. نرجو منكم أخذ مقاعدكم. أهلا بكم في ملتقى الميزانية لعام
The 2024 Budget Forum.
شايف الاجواء يا اخي بدأ التزيين صادق والله اجواء طلع وبر اي والله طلع وبر اعلنوا الميزانيه؟ اي اعلنوها كم صارت هسه؟
Oh, was the budget announced more than 1 trillion to 100 billion Saudi riyals? Now, let me just explain to you exactly how the trillion looks like. I mean, it looks like in a very big generation that really studies and learns, achieves all of their goals. And you can see this big figure as well in the development of services, increasing the housing project of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the strong infrastructure that will actually enhance investments, in addition to the roads networks which will serve the people, and the empowerment and enablement through providing the private sector more investment opportunities in all the industrial sectors that does its best and does achieve its great position as well to benefit from technology where it serves you wherever you are. I mean, through the great projects as well, and that made all projects very close as well, so as to increase the number of tourists to come to know more about your culture as well. This big number and this trillion can be seen through new opportunities for more new opportunities, and it can be seen out through the feeling of power, security, and safety. This is the shape of the trillion that we heard actually being announced. I mean, about the budget as well. If you look at the trillion of the budget, is reality that will live on a daily basis. The shape and the shape, the image of the budget will have a great return in all of us. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, God's peace and mercy be upon all of you. We're on the stage, Fatima Fahad is the MC, and gives me much pleasure and honor to welcome you all and the 2024 Budget Forum on behalf of the Minister of Finance. We extend our great appreciation to all of you who attend the sessions of the forum, which will discuss the most important accomplishment achievements as well within the year 2023 and the most important goals we are going to accomplish in 2024. And through the sessions as well, today, we're going to discuss with their excellencies a number of topics which are related to the announcement of the public budget of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the year 2024. And here we will start the program of today, and we will get into the first session, which will concentrate on the sustainable finance. And ladies and gentlemen, join me and welcome, give warm welcome, welcome to Their Excellencies Mr. Mohammed Al Jatan, the Minister of Finance, His Excellency the Minister, Mr. Faisal Ibrahim, the Minister of Planning, and Mr. Rajan Marzouki is going to be the session moderator for this important session under the title of Sustainable Finance. God's peace and mercy upon all of you. Good morning, everybody. I hear some echo, ladies and gentlemen. Is it very clear? Do you hear me very well? Distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, it gives me much honor in this important forum and meeting to discuss with two of the most important pillars of the Saudi economy, His Excellency the Minister of Finance, Mr. Mohammed Al Jatan, and His Excellency the Minister of Economy and Planning, Mr. Faisal Al Ibrahim. The budget in oil countries is considered the most important tools of economy, which will impact the economic growth. Here, that's reason why this budget actually has a great economic impact, starting in this phase, important phase, that the economic transformation, which will actually contribute to achieving the goals of the blessed Vision 2030. And questions will revolve around this topic. And there will be more questions whenever we are in the presence of Their Excellencies, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Economy. And based on the consecutive sessions after this session, I try to do my best to concentrate on our questions in these important sessions on the sustainability, in addition to the gross economy and achieving the goals as well. So we'll let some of the details to be discussed later, because they were discussed in the press conference, and some of the details we're going to raise and answer through the sessions with Their Excellencies, the ministers in the other sectors. So welcome, Your Excellency, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Economy, to our sessions as well. First of all, we have the first question, which is being raised today, and even internally and externally, here and abroad, the strategies that have been announced to achieve the vision are very great and numerous as well, and the finance and funding such kind of goals based on the statistics as well. It's not an easy. It will be very great as well. And with the over increasing number of mega projects as well. Here comes the most important question, the $64 question. What is your plan to finance such kind of strategy as being announced? Thank you very much, Doctor. Good morning, everybody. God's peace and mercy be upon all of you. I would like to extend appreciation to most of the people who attended today and who are virtually viewing and watching us through the virtual communication. So for me, I would like to say that I have two comments actually before answering this important question. The first comment as well, please don't compare me with His Excellency Mr. Faisal. I'm in content and form. Don't compare me with him. He is one of the most important pillars of economy. He is the Minister of Economy, and I don't actually claim that I know much better than he does. So I am the Minister of Finance, and I may leave all the economic issues to be discussed and to be covered by His Excellency the Minister of Economy. We support the Minister of Economy and Their Excellencies, the other ministers as well, who are attending with us and will be participating with us in the sessions as well. This is a commitment from us. And your question is very important question. Honestly speaking, after, for example, finishing the budget, Abu Fahd asked me a question, and after finishing the great work, and this question will return us back to talk about the end of the budget and what's going to happen until after 2030, even from today until 2030. I try to do my best, for example, to be short and to talk in brief about the answer of this question. And in short and brief, I can say, please, let me just, I apologize for that. the Vision 2030 of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was launched, there were many strategies, in the provinces as well, and even sectors. And some of these projects were under specific strategies and were not ready in 2016 so as to know exactly what we need exactly so as to achieve the goals of 2030 and even after 2030. And of course, and we, of course, based on what His Royal Highness the Crown Prince said, actually, for example, in the midst of the way. For 2 years, we have been actually reviewing all the strategies that were launched, for example, even in sectors, projects, and provinces as well, so as to, first of all, to intersect, in addition to the, confidentialities and the implementation, and to implement other strategies as well. And what we need as regards the funding, amounts, and what we can do, we have a great top ceiling of goals, expectations, and the funding is not that big. Resources are limited, and we need, for example, to make better use of such kind of resources and to implement the other strategies as well to achieve, for example, a high return on the economy. And these strategies, a part of the answer came from the Ministry of Economy, and it came from a number of numerous government entities as well. So we looked at all this infrastructure and all of these perspectives as well, so as to determine, and we found out there is a very required amount of funding so as to implement such kind of strategies as well. And we said that we need 1 billion, and we came to talk about trillions, and this includes, operating the sectors and the salaries of the employees, and operating schools, hospitals, and there's many other sectors and social services. In addition to grants and all of these kind of things, health. At the same time, developing the current infrastructure, developing 40-year schools and 50 years hospitals that expired hospitals, bridges, roads, in addition to airports as well. And this includes protection. And I said Mr. Abdullah Sharaf as well, who said that, and it includes protection, for example, cybersecurity, including cybersecurity, and for electronic protection, in addition to the, sensual protection, defense, the protection and defense, all of these kind of things that you came to across. This is the business as usual. This is the ordinary business that we're always doing. It needs and requires trillions, not only billions. And the second part of the issue, the budget and what it requires, and every mega project and what it requires as well. So we came to allocate what we need, 100 billion, and we, on the other hand, we collected. We came to ask about the resources. We have oil resources, and there has been a current committee which is working continuously as well, so as to give us expectations in 2030 regarding the oil resources, non-oil resources as well, and what expectation are going to be determined. And last year and this year we'll discuss all of these kind of things, that the non-oil resources, or what is called the global terminology, the tax, and the returns, and what is the best volume according to GDP, and then, in addition to the non-oil resources, because according to the vision, we have been planning to diversify the economy. So there must be a percentage of the oil resources, and in addition to many conducted studies, economic studies, Mr. Abu Mohammed, His Excellency, we're going to talk about this, but from 18 to 21%. This is what we allocated. We don't have to exceed this percentage. Otherwise, going to be a burden that will impact negatively the economy in general. And this is, of course, this is what we came to calculate regarding the non-oil revenues. And when we got the total, we're going to compare it. We would compare to the other requirements and the demands as well. So we came to see a gap. In addition to this gap, And we came to ask ourselves what we need to deal with the exports. And and the Saudi economy is a part of the global economy, and we need to deal with what happens in the global economy as well. We might be exposed to shocks and turmoils and externally, as it happened during the coronavirus crisis. And in addition to many other crises in the 5 past years, we came to face a number of challenges and shocks, such as COVID, for example, or COVID-19, in addition to the Ukrainian-Russian war, and then actually the difficulty that faced the supply chains, leading to high interest rates. All of this affected the economy of the kingdom. That's the reason why we need to be well prepared and to need, for example, to have a margin to face all of these challenges as well. And this margin is depending on the surplus, the public surplus in the central bank. So we need these reserves so as not to be touched, so as not to be used to finance or fund any projects. We don't have to touch it. Only we expose. We added this as well. In addition to the demand and requirement, and that's the reason why we came to see we see the big difference between the demands and the imports. This big difference and this gap as well can be dealt with by 2 factors. The first of which is, are these demands, for example, being studied efficiently and effectively? How can we, for example, reduce it? How can we, can we extend it? Then the debts. So we come to, what about the capacity, the financing capacity and debts markets, internally and externally, for the kingdom of Saudi Arabia? And we have actually seen all, and we came to depend on some conducted studies as well that continued for 2 years, because this is the question, everyday question. And the financing, the capacity needs to take into consideration 2 main points. The first of which is we don't have actually to compete with the private sector. We don't have to cause any crowdedness as well, because the private sector will never be able to get finance outside the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So we need, for example, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia need to consider, for example, the demand, the needs. This includes, for example, the public investment fund, in addition to the other companies, for example, owned by the private sector, in addition to SMEs, in addition to, for example, the housing finance and funding as well. We have goals for increasing the ownership percentage of houses by the citizens, where we can actually provide funding by the banks. We don't want, for example, to cause any problems or compete with them so as to obtain funding from banks as well. The same thing applies to SMEs and in addition to many other sectors as well. If we take this into consideration and we studied with the help of the central bank, and we have our colleagues here from the central bank. So what about, for example, the financial volume that we can see in the banking sector and financial sector, and what is really existing in the financial market and capital market? All of these, and in addition to the other financial institutions, will give you, for example, the capacity, what the non-government sectors need, for example, so as not as well to cause any problem or to make any crowdedness, actually. So we can say by the end of the day, this is the volume that we can lend from the market, the financial market, and look at the public market and how can we depend on international markets. And I think specialists know that international financial markets, they allocate specific sums for each country according to, for example, the variety of risks and the power, strength of economy, in addition to credit classification rating as well. So we came to determine this actually volume of financing, and then we came to classify companies, for example, and what it needs, for example, the funds in addition to the companies the funds companies and what they need, and then we divided this volume as well between the public sector and other sectors as well, and we came up by the end of the day to have a very accepted rate of debts where we can obtain, but at the same time, however, it doesn't have to exceed, for example, to the level of the debt we need, for example, to deal with it as a ceiling, so to avoid any dangers and not to affect the financial sustainability, for example, so as to calculate the debt service based on the GDP, in addition to the non-oil resources. Dr. Hamad is the committee member, so we do not actually look at the GDP total, but we actually look at, for example, the non-oil resources. That's right. And in addition to many other, calculations we came to take into consideration to deal with the financial stability in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So we came to this number. I would like to be brave. So we have requirements for funding. We have demands for, for example, such to keep our reserves in the central bank, and we have as well, the oil and non-oil revenues as well. And we came to see with a difference. So based on what we need, we 1 billion, and what we came to save 950 million. So we came back to the first strategy that we launched. And this has been under the leadership of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, and very intensive meetings. I cannot actually give the number. I'm not able to give the number of meetings so as to review all of these strategies as well. How can we reduce, for example, the demand in a way that our demand will be consistent with the growth? All of these issues came to be over now. We are done. So today we have in the cash flow along the years. We're going to finish it. The priorities are going to be actually specified for things after 2030. Some projects have been extended as well after 2030. Some strategies have been postponed after 2030, and in addition to the allocation of funds as well. So we are working with a committee under the auspices of His Excellency the Minister of Economy, so as to determine priorities accurately and to determine exactly the adopted priorities until 2030, so as to be able to finance as well and implementation. So the other part of the coin is to postpone and put off some of the projects as well. It's not putting off, but extending the implementation phase as well, which will serve the economy by the end of the day. And I think His Excellency, the Minister of Economy, is much better, in telling more and more. And so we might have two issues. For example, if you make extension, you might have inflation that will affect the prices. The economy will never be able to deal with it as fast as possible. In addition to actually, and the economy will never be able to save the resources and the resources that you need, for example, to finance such a project. So you're going to import. So to be able to deal with such kind of things as well in your economy. So, for example, you need, for example, to extend the length of the economy, to build new plants, factories, and even enough highly qualified human resources so as to implement them on the long run as well. So I thank you very much for such important answers and details as well. So this is very comprehensive answers. It's enough. I know that this question that you raised needs and requires more sessions, not only one session, so as to give further details. And as if you want to say, Your Excellency, that all of these strategies that will help to achieve the vision goals, in addition to our wish and desire, looking forward to see the financial sustainability as a part of these strategies, with the intersecting relationship between sustainability and achieving the strategies, is a very coherent relationship. In addition to the main role that we are looking forward to seeing in the visions, will such to play an important role of the private sector in participating in the economy and to give the floor. So all of these intersecting three issues as well, and we ask Allah to help you. It's not it's not a piece of cake to give further details. This actually makes me ask His Excellency, the Minister of Economy, to such important questions. Within all of these strategies, this high level of spending and expenditure and intersecting the three changes that you've mentioned as well, this will lead by the end of the day to, for example, the arrangement of priorities, and we're talking about a very strong economic transformation. How can we double the benefit of economy based on the spending to achieve this great transformation as we want? And what about the most important factors that will impact this? Thank you very much, Doctor. It gives me much pleasure and honor in this important meeting. As said by His Excellency, you are in the middle of the journey of transformation, and God willing, to achieve all the goals of the Vision 2030. And we can say today with high level of confidence, and based on what has been mentioned by the international organizations and rating organizations, there are great outcomes and results as well. Before, when there has been discussion or statement, does the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, for example, show great concern as regards the financial, stability, and all of these things, all of what has been discussed, for example, came to an end. Why? Because we try to do just to everything. The most important thing that brings us together on the right track is investment in economy. As mentioned by His Excellency in the press conference yesterday, subjects and topics like deficit, the budget deficit. It's very important, for example, for investment in the economy, to invest in the economy and accelerating the economic diversification, in addition to investing in national carriers and national resources. What we need to realize today is that the vision created a very rich environment, an enabling environment where you can see economic diversification is a vital role, playing a vital role. It's not only in the margin, but in the focus, where, for example, the Saudi human resources have been actually qualified on the long run, not in the short term, and the long term as well. We came to see a high level of collaborative framework among the government entities, and of high quality, of high level as well, more than before. These are the 3 points that we need to put them prior to anything in the vision as well. Some of the results of the economic acceleration is the growth. The economic growth without oil resources was 20%. From 2016. This is more than what we have seen in Europe and America as well. We have actually as well in addition to the trading balances has been improved. In addition to the services that moved from 65 billion 2016 to 130 billion Saudi riyals, and the percentage of contribution of non-oil resources in covering the courses was 19%. Now it's 35%, and the main cause is the great expansion of the non-oil resources as regards enhancing the national resources and national capital as well. We see reduced level of unemployment and sustainably and methodologically, and we see high participation of Saudi women in the market as well. We exceeded our goal of 30%. Now it is between 35 to 36%. In addition to all other outcomes in so many other sectors as regards, for example, enhancing the national cadres and national resources, which is really important for all of us to achieve it in the long run, to create opportunities through acceleration of economy and enabling individuals and families to benefit as well, and at the same time for institutions to benefit from these opportunities. Number 3, for example, the capacity of efficiency of the government entities as well. Cooperation, as said by His Excellency, now cooperation has become an integral part, and it's and to coordinate with all the stakeholders to reach solutions. Now there has been actually well organized, well actually constituted, much better than before. Not only cooperation, coordination with the government entities and even with the private sector. We conducted numerous studies in collaboration with the private sector, resulting in policies that can be discussed and passed as well, based on the resolutions that will impact our journey of transformation. In addition, I try to give another example. The role of the government entities in international platforms. Years before, there were specific government entities that have the voice in international organizations and forums and conferences. Now every entity, every ministry as well, every center has a role to play in the international platform, multilateral or bilateral, and so to leading the culture, Saudi culture. Undoubtedly, we can see this in international community as well. The last of which, and the simplest example, is the leadership in the transformation of energy. Now the story of the kingdom now is narrated and convinced by everybody. Either, for example, they came to declare by our counterparts, by other organizations, countries. Everybody is convinced by the leadership of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in the energy transition and facing the climate change. With high level of logic as well, and scientifically as well. The last example that actually I can mention bilaterally with other countries that truly point out the great capacity is actually Riyadh's the winning as a hosting city of Expo 2030. During this great victory, many 119 or more than 119 countries adopted the message and the vision of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabian transformation and their big desire to see Expo 2030 in Riyadh. I mean, into other great countries, in other two countries. And this actually indicates the great impact of the transformations on the capacities of the other ministers as well. And I have seen, for example, the great role of the government entities and the very rich environment that can interact with all events and all what's going on, and its impact, for example, in the diversification of resources economically. So I'm going to come back to you as well about the economic diversification, its importance, its impact as well. Now, Abu Faisal, I'll move to you. And let's talk about the great spending, as I mentioned, and the impact on strategies. Here comes the role of the spending efficiency within all of these challenges that you covered short time ago, and other challenges that are seen in the international community worldwide and globally. Spending efficiency or expenditure efficiency is one of the most important elements, not only to reduce spending, but if the efficiency is not to limit or to reduce spending, the budget can raise year from year and from year to year, another year. And so we have, and as you know, for example, at the beginning of the vision as well, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince talked about that when he talked about, for him, frankly and candidly as well, honestly speaking, how we were used to spend and what we have to use to spend as well. The spending efficiency, we need to ensure to make sure that we spend what we need and in a competitive cost so as to achieve a high return. So when we discuss these matters with their excellencies, with Abu Nawaf, the Minister, Mr. Salah Al Jasser, Mr. Yusuf Al Baniyan, Mr. Al Jasser, Mr. Ahmed Al Rashhi, in addition to the excellencies, the ministers. I mean, whenever we talk about the budget right now, first of all, when a minister, for example, asks for a budget, he has a spending team, and the spending team, they work with the ministers. So the ministry has been working with the teams of spending and ministers. Some ministers have been successful in raising the efficiency of spending. Even with this as well, for example, you can ask the ministers to give these studies. Shall we need this for a school, for a hospital, for a center, for roads, with this volume, with this amount, and when we need the budget, when we need, for example, spending. The discussion will go on and on until we come to a consensus to determine what we need to spend and how we can spend it. The authority of spending efficiency, sometimes we might have different points of view with us, and this is good as well. That's reason why efficiencies of spending is not to reduce spending. It is to enhance the use of resources so as to achieve best results and best return. And today, this year, 2023, I mean, the efficiency, the authority, for example, in collaboration with the other government entities, and not only the favor goes to the authority, but I mean, this thanks to the great efforts of all the government entities. More than 225 billion Saudi riyals have been actually gained back so as to implement these strategies and programs and initiatives as well. I will stop on that. You would like to say how the role of the spending efficiency to achieve, for example, the economic efficiency that we are aspiring, for example, so as to cover all the points as well. Abu Mohammed, for example, we talk about the economic diversification, and how do you see the importance of economic diversification, this important stage, and its role to achieve, for example, the sustainable development, the economic efficiency? Thank you, Doctor. Economic diversification is very is a must. Is necessary because if you look at this before in past years, for example, everything depends on the public's budget and the growth as well, which depends on a main source of income, which was the oil resource. I mean, that was not very constructive in the long run because we might face risks as well to responding to the fluctuation of the market because based on one product. So we would be seeing many fluctuations. So what's really important for economic activity needs to be moved by more than one factors and one force as well. So this is going to be pushed by the private sector, which depends on revenues that come from different resources, come different places as well, and to make it very strong from international markets, from foreign markets, we have to enable the private sector, for example, to export to international markets. with high value, with high quality, and this value of such kind of exported commodities as well that can be made here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So when you look at consumptive resources, we don't want to see that once more. The resource, the productive resources that actually can be used in the productivity or the producing process in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This is what we were aspiring. And to reach this solution, we came to establish a number of mechanisms to be affected by these fluctuations, like financial planning, such as well having two funds that work together. So as they want to work with different roles. One of the roles of the two funds, for instance, so as to be to deal with inefficiencies or the risks as well that face the private sector and the new sectors as well. In one night, overnight, we came to face 4 sectors, and we came, for example, to move the mining sector. So the private sector, does not need, sovereign investment through which you can actually have a clear track as well, because as we see, the capital, as we all say, is coward. So private sector is intelligent, can benefit. There's another fund as well, whose main role is to enable the private sector, especially in let me say, for example, the SMEs in particular, and enhancing and enabling families as well. There are different funds for that, in addition to the new role of the funds as well, which are playing a large role in infrastructure. But for the role of the national funds in the green hydrogen project in Yom, especially based on the proposals that have been actually submitted. That would be a very complicated project, but now it has become resolved. Realistic now. We can see, for example, they have the green hydrogen project, the first of its own kind in the kingdom, and in addition to many other factors and mechanisms to support the private sector to reach, for example, 65% out of the GDP, in addition to the sectoral strategies as well, based on the mega projects and the huge projects that will focus on enabling the private sector to benefit from such investment opportunities to achieve the growth. So not only to reach, for example, responding to the demands inside, but as well to compete in international markets, let me say that, and with other competitors outside the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So in such case, for example, you talked about the general framework and its importance, for example, and this is the objective of Saudi Arabia, for example, to achieve economic balance as well as stability. In your perspective, what are the most important sectors and tools that you can see for the time being had started to contribute to achieving this, or will play an important role to achieve it in the next phase, or based on the results as well? The connection between the non-oil economy with the public spending has been reduced from 99% in 2015 to 50% this year, 2023. So it has a great impact, even if it did not reach, the best of the model economic diversification. However, if we want to simplify, I think the matter, we have the tourism sector, and the tourism sector, in addition to the other related, sectors, we came to see high level of growth last year. The growth was in the non-oil activities as well. Before Corona, it was, we saw a growth in financial services. In the real estate sector. After Corona, we came to see growth in investments and a high level of investment achieved among the G20 countries. In 2023, we came to see the entry of the exports, the service-based exports in tourism. So this year, in the first half of the year, for example, it grew 132%, more than the first half of last year. I think that really because it's this tourism, because as economic activity which is not existing, we need to build it, we need to grow it, we need to build it, and it will create more jobs as well. It's important to invest in it. It has another role, being a soft infrastructure through which we can actually attract skills, investments, and so skilled brain minds. Investments not only confined to an indirect source, but it depends on what can the kingdom provide, and based on what the services that can be provided in the kingdom of Saudi Arabia will increase their ability to invest in such important sector. The second part is industry. It gives us the capacity and the ability to produce, for example, our products of highly complicated products. So we have a great history in the growth of complicated products. We started in energy, and then petrochemicals, and in some machineries, in the manufacturing, some machinery devices as well. So industry is one of the most important sectors as well. We have other tools, very important tools. So the specific investments in specific sectors will create big opportunities in the private sector as well. The continuation of the King of Saudi Arabia to invest in electric cars in general, attracting investment in electric cars through Share, the national company, or through Lucid or Hyundai. Today we can say, for example, there has been intervention from the government, but the impact it is based on the value chain that will open the door for more opportunities where the private sector can play an important role as well. This value chain can be used in other industries, and it has been used in other countries as well. So many useful industries, such as cars, for example, building vessels and ships as well, and the value chain that will impact heavy industry as well. This is on a large scale. All of these can be actually open opportunities for the private sector. And at the same time, we have other, for example, examples like military industries. And now the local content before the vision was 4.3%. Now we came to achieve, for example, 70%, targeting 50%. There is knowledge transfer, technology transfer, so as to localize the complicated industry, so as to localize our defense systems. With the time, within years, it will be, for example, moved to other industries. At the same time, we give you a very simple example, like electronic industries. Like electronic sports or games. The community that really is focusing on such kind of electronic games is increasing a large scale. So we can see a very big community, strong community producing such kind of programs. The value chain and producing such electronic games programs, such as design, simulation, and programming. All of these skills, once being exploited locally, we can transfer it to use it in the fourth industrial revolution, artificial intelligence. The government can intervene, resulting in big opportunities for private sector in general. I have a pressure from the control room, and because as fast as possible, for example, there is a persisting question that came in my mind. Based on what has said by His Excellency Abu Faisal, for example, you can comment on it. For example, integration issue. You talked about developing funds and spending on them, and here the question comes. Based on this, what comes in mind? What is the integration between all of these funds and the budget so as to achieve the goals and the targets that you mentioned? In 2 minutes, in short, I think what I talked about last year. I talked last year about the financial issue, and especially the resources. It's the budget is actually based on two main wings: investing in the resources of the public through the PIF, and the PIF, for example, has a heavy commitment, for example, under the instructions of the government in local sectors to invest in such local sectors. So based on auspices as well. So it develops in new sectors, as mentioned by His Excellency, that needs, for example, big funding, or it needs, for example, to dealing with the risks at the first phase as well, and to get the capacity to face with such kind of crisis as well. The other wing, opening new sectors, even in the economy, and the other thing is the National Development Fund, which is designed to finance the SMEs and the private sector related projects as well. On the level of the citizen and the productive family, and even the big companies as well. All are financed by the National Development Fund. There is a high level of integration as well. So the strategy of the fund is based on dealing with everybody. For example, even outside the vision of 2030, the same thing applies to the national funds as well. They not only serve the projects under the vision only, but it plays an integral part with all the sectors, and this is what we're going to push forward. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. We are overrun by so many questions, and we received some more important questions. And I wish we could have more time, long time, to complete the discussion as well, because of all the importance of such kind of issues as well to discuss with Your Excellencies. However, our colleagues in the control room, we are very sorry for that. So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I'd like to extend appreciation and high gratitude to His Excellency, the Minister of Finance, Mr. Mohammed Al-Jadaan, and His Excellency, Mr. Faisal Ibrahim, the Minister of Planning as well, and for answering very persisting and giving clarity to all of these points as well about the relationship between the budget and economy and finance and funding and in relationship with the budget of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. With this, we come to the conclusion of this important morning session. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies.
معالي محمد الجدعان.
Your Excellency, Mr. Mohammed Al Jadaan, Mr. Faisal Ibrahim, the Minister of Planning Plus One, once again, we thank you very much for this great and value-added participation that enriched this opening session as well in our forum, the 2024 budget. And extend appreciation to the session moderator, Dr. Rajab Barzouki. Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the National Center for the Governments and the Public Resources presents and provides a number of technical services that will contribute to enabling the government entities so as to co-pace with the Vision 2030. We try to do our best to point out some of these great efforts as well, and we provide. I mean, the NCC is doing its best to provide the government resources through efficient management and effective management so as to achieve a number of the positive impacts on the economy of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and to complete what we have started as well in our Tamad platform. We're so proud to launch our new products as well on the platform. We launch as well with a very great and new digitalization step through adding many advantages to Atimad, which actually provides a number of bits by the government entities electronically, in addition to actually open the floor for the beneficiaries from private sector individuals in a way that will achieve transparency and the sales and purchasing and selling measures, in addition to increasing non-oil resources as well and income, and it will help, for example, achieving the governance of the procedures of the public auctions and bids as well, and accusing automation of the paperwork procedures and to increase the high number of offers and to enable the beneficiaries as well so as to keep an eye on the available opportunities and provide saving time and efforts will to continue with the government entities and will increase the participation of the transparency and governance level and bits as well. And what actually makes this product very special is to enable the government entities to establish an electronic auction, in addition to bringing all details about the product as well. The platform, enables the government so as to actually provide bids and offers as well in the closed sessions in the public as well, and to provide all the stakeholders and beneficiaries to have a look at all the public vendor tenders and according to specific times. And after this, we'll launch it, for example, the financial requirements or demands that will enable the private sector to raise, for example, the requirements and the financial demands directly to the public and the government entities through our Tamad platform so as to complete the electronic payment measures and procedures and to enhance transparency, in addition to monitoring and controlling for the work of related entities and to measure the level of the service. At the same time, we provide you the next service, which is the digital contracting, which enables the private sector to register and to document and to have approval on all the transactions, payment-related measures as well electronically through our Tamad platform. At the same time, allowing the private sector to get an approval on their payment plan before being approved and to raise the level of governance between the government entities and the private sector and facilitate all the measures and procedures through approving the digital signature on the contracts and to shorten the time to sign the contract from days to minutes. NCGR. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, now for the time being, we're going to get into the second session in the 2024 budget forum, which will shed light on the budget and within the framework of developing the basic services. Welcome with me our guests and the panelists, His Excellency the Human Resources and Social Development Mr. Engineer Ahmed Al-Rajhi, His Excellency the Minister of Health, Engineer Philad Al-Jalajil, and His Excellency the Minister of Education, Mr. Yusuf Al-Baniyan. And the session moderator will be Yasser As-Sikaf.
In the name of Allah, Your Highness, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we will start now our second session under the title, the budget in the framework of basic services. We will talk about the governmental services and its effects on the citizens and residents. Let's welcome Engineer Ahmed Al-Rajihi and the ministers. Firstly, let's start with the Minister of Labor and Social Developments, which gives these services for all the audience. What are the efforts to improve all of these services and how you review all the challenges and what are the solutions that you're working on? Good morning, everyone. At the beginning, I want to thank the custodian of the two holy mosques for this forum, the budget 2024, and all the supporting for the economic. And also I thank all the colleagues in the finance, the Ministry of Finance, Minister of Finance, and all the colleagues there from the beginning of this journey and preparing for this. So thanks to them because they work professionally. All the Saudis, the Saudi young people, they deserve. About the services, the ministry, of course, everyone in this country, the ministry gives them services, whether they are residents or citizens. And we started the journey in one of the sectors that we worked on, the digital transformation. And we decided before 4 years that the Ministry of Labors and Social Development will work on this and that no beneficiary will come to this ministry because this is a very long journey to automize all the platforms of the ministry. I want to tell you today that we have more than 1,000 services, digital services. And at the beginning of this year, January 2023, through the beneficiary services, we started a project that any beneficiary to come to the ministry, we don't only serve them, we also know what is the reason for his visit. And we have 79 reasons and challenges that made all of these beneficiaries come to the ministry repeatedly. We reviewed until today from these 79 challenges, 60 challenges, and to make sure that we overcome this challenge, we saw that in all these offices we have more than 53,000 people who are visiting the ministry. And after that, those who visit, we have only 13,000 visitors. This decline of the number of visitors gave us ambitions that we will reach to 0 beneficiaries to visit the branches of the ministry in the kingdom. We started with 79 challenges, but today we have from these challenges only 19 challenges. And until today, we are convinced that in the middle of 2024, when we completed all the challenges and overcome all of them, we will be able to reach out to few visitors. To imagine these numbers, just in the labor sector, In the قوة platform, we have 1 million process daily, only in the labor sector. In قوة platform, from the licenses and all these services, and also 80 services of 80 of the contracts were documented. I want to say finally that our journey with serving all the beneficiaries is very long, but today we are convinced that we are able to give all of our services to all the beneficiaries, either if they are in their homes or in their offices or even outside the kingdom. Thank you, Your Highness. Many efforts and challenges, of course, but one of the solutions is technology. Thank you very much. We will move to the Ministry of Health. As the Ministry of Health is speaking a new language now that focuses on the hope, the effect of, if we are talking about the services that you are giving. Thank you very much. At the beginning, I congratulate the custodian of the two holy mosques and the Crown Prince. Of course, I thank also the ministers, all the Ministry of Finance, and all that we talked about in the last session about the transparency that we talked about the budget. In this year, we will participate more about the budget of last year, and we will talk about the challenges and how to overcome them. Sorry to interrupt. About the investment in hope before treating the pain. Of course, this method is from the Vision 2030. Before, we were investing in treating all the illnesses and the accidents. We invested in the emergency centers, but we asked ourselves, how can we prevent the accident to happen? If we want to keep the citizen, we don't need this. If I want to judge all about the health centers, I need to talk about the health system in the country, about all the illnesses and sicknesses. If we want to talk about the treatments, is only 80% of the interference of treatment. Of course, all the time we are ready. If we reach out to the pain stage, of course we will treat. About Jazan Hospital, we give services, and there are many challenges the citizens are facing to go to the health centers. Also, the hospital of Obigaini, it is a very important health center, and it gives a treatment for all the babies that are born. And of course, it's included with the centers for health services in many places in Saudi Arabia, in Diriyah, in all places, which enhance the health care in the kingdom. It gave more than 1,200 beds in Saudi Arabia. It's just like a health city in the kingdom. Also, we increased all the tumors centers which were doubled to 18 centers, and we reduced the suffering of people. The treatment center brought on in King Fahd Medical Center gives a very specified services for tumors that is pioneer in the whole world, which gives services for the complicated tumors, and all people who need these services can be treated inside Saudi Arabia without the need for traveling outside. So we reduced the suffering of people. 66% of people don't need to go outside their places. And as the Minister of Finance, the proficiency of spending is not like we made many communities to increase the process of people. We reached out to more than 8,000 operations weekly, which gave the people the opportunity to reduce the waiting time for people. And now only 24 days they can wait for the operation days. Also in the budget forum, the last budget forum, now we have all the outcomes, and we expand our services that saved more than 2,000 lives that were waiting for the ambulances before, and improved the time that people need to wait. What happened is that we aimed in 2030 that we will reach to cover all the health services in all the areas of the kingdom. And thanks to all the efforts, we were able to cover all the health services with 94%. Thank you, Your Excellency. You made many efforts for keeping the health society. Let's move out to the Ministry of Education. Your Highness, Mr. Yusuf Al-Bnayan, in all the efforts that you are working on in the education sector, what are the strategies and the priorities for the Ministry of Education in the vision of 2030? At the beginning, in the name of Allah, I want to thank all of the colleagues, and I want to thank the Ministry of Finance and His Highness Mr. Mohammed Al-Jad'an for this preparation to highlight the role of the budget. Also, I thank on behalf of the education sector for the custodian of the two holy mosques and the Crown Prince for what they did for the education sector. Also, I thank all the education sector in all the governmental entities and the private sector and the nonprofit sector for all their integrated efforts in the education sector. Of course, the education sector, the education sector gives much importance for the education and giving the attractive environment to guarantee the students that we have in the schools and the universities. And of course, we have many great programs. One of them, with the aims for these services is to give a competitive student for the market. And also, we need to have transparency for all the services that we have. As a new minister in the government, and I worked more than 3 decades in the private sector, I know that what the government is doing is to raise up the productivity and to focus more on the outcome and the productivity. And as mentioned by Mr. Al-Jadaan, of course, any system that doesn't have any devices, it will not be able to manage the expandings. That's why the efficiency of expenditures is very important to achieve the Vision 2030 and to benefit more and more about the budget that is given by the government. And now that we are talking about the education in the wide lens about the universities and schools here, this is this gives us how our country is investing in the education sector. And now that we are talking about the Ministry of Education, we find out that it develops more and more. That's why the ministry can work in the educational system. Also, the other project that we have is how to enhance the educational process in the field. That's why we integrated all the educational office to improve the services and serve all the teachers and students in schools to reduce the offices by implementing the university council to work more and more on this field. We see that the citizen is competing internationally. Let's talk about the labor and social development. What are the achievements that you made, especially in your field? I want to start about the great achievements that we did, and I'm very proud that these achievements are not only the achievements for the ministry, but also with our partners of the private sector. And I give you numbers that we are very proud of. From 2019 until today, the number of Saudis in the market increased from 1 million to 2 million and 300 Saudis. More than 600,000 Saudis entered this private sector, and of course this firstly because of the support of our leadership, and then because of our partners and the importance of our youth. And I have meetings all the time with my colleagues, and I didn't hear that about the challenge that we had before with the Saudis in the market, about their commitment for the changes. And today we have partners in the private sector who believe in our youth. And of course, this is due to our Saudi youth who proved that they are responsible for all of this. And this number, 600,000, 300,000, they started only this year, 2023. And this is very important for us because the one who started in 1 year is exceeding the market. And of course, this means that we have people now more than who graduated before from this market. Also, the women participating in this sector, and as mentioned this morning, that the women participating in the market increased to 35% today. Of course, our vision in 2030 is to reach only 30% by 2030. But today, thank God, the women participating reached out the goal before 8 years of 2030. And of course, our crown prince said that this is a great. That's why they increased the goal by 2030. And I am very glad that our Saudi youth proved their commitment. Also, the qualitative localization is very important, such as the dentist sector and engineering, and this quantitative localization is important. The engineers exceed from 40,000 and now they are 70,000 in Saudi Arabia. And this proved that the quantitative localization related to the qualitative jobs. Also, we covered this. Another achievement is the partnership with the private sector. We launched a program which is called WAD program that aims to train those who already work. And of course, we have commitment from the private sector from now to 2025, more than 1 million training opportunities for people who are working. Why is this important? Because today, of course, you know about the AI and the changes in the jobs and the importance of improving all the services and the importance of having the skills that can adapt with the changes in the future. That's why this 1,100,000 opportunity for the jobs, the training for the jobs, to train them well for the market requirements in the future. Also, we launched another council for the skills, and this is an experiment that we found in other countries and we found important for us as well. Of course, the Crown Prince reviewed everything in this strategy, that we found the best countries in the world, like Singapore, that they have 28 reform initiatives. And of course, we achieved a lot, 70% of this strategy. From this is the Skills Council. One of them is the industry, service and transport, tourism and entertainment. And of course, this council is governmental, and they can determine and confirm that the education services is aligned with what is required for the market, and that's the same for all other sectors. About the non-profit the nonprofit sector, we had a lot of nonprofit councils. Now we have more than 4,000 nonprofit communities, more than 270%. What we did in 40 years, we did only in a few years. Of course, this is by the support of our leadership. The other subject is an achievement that we are very proud of. As yesterday, all of their excellencies, they participated with the volunteer with your experience. By 2019, we started, and now we have more than 700 volunteers. And by this number, we mean about the volunteers who are not repeated, and with a volunteer chance that we worked on, we wanted to reach out to 1 million volunteers, and now we will reach more than 1 million volunteers by 2025, which is 5 years before our vision. And this proves that our people like to give voluntarily. And thank God we communicated with all the ministries, and all of them are keen to volunteer, to serve, and to serve in their field. And whoever who participated in this forum, we found that one of the people spoke with their excellencies about the achievements and how his company achieved millions, and because of their efforts and the support, of course, of our leadership, and volunteer in the Hajj and Umrah. Also about the funds. The fund, of course, contributed to give all the Saudi youth to support them. And this fund support the Saudis more than 50% to give our Saudi youth the opportunity to start and to enter the market. Lastly, about the social fund, gave 6% more than the last year, and all of this fund are gone to the small entities or enterprises, and that contributed to give opportunities for jobs by the stakeholders to create job opportunities in the field. This is a part of our achievement, and I say again that this is not the ministry achievement, but it's from the support of the Crown Prince and all of our partners, our great partners, whether they are private sector, by creating the jobs. And we heard Mr. Al-Jad'an yesterday about the jobs created in 1 year. And of course, we don't have more than 1 million jobs in economy. And who created these jobs? Of course, the private sector, also our Saudi youth, for their interacting with all the jobs available in the market to start working. And we have a colleague who started with 4,000 reals salary, and now she takes more than 80,000 Saudi riyal salary. And she said that she believed in herself, and that's why she reached out. And that's why I said that the beginning is hard, but after that we can reach. Thank you very much. Of course, these are great achievements in 2023. These are big numbers. There is no country in the world that created these numbers. Of course, this speech can give any citizen to be proud. Let's go to the Minister of Health. Let's talk about the budget and focus on the treatment. What did you achieve until now? Thank you. Transforming the budget to go to the beneficiary, basically by the insurance center, the National Insurance Center. What do I mean by having the budget going to the beneficiary? We suffered before that the budget is based on the number of hospitals, not actually about the population. That's why we had some challenges in the regions. We faced another challenge that the citizen is looking for the bed. That if he goes to a hospital that doesn't have a bed, he will go and search for the beds in other hospitals. That's why the budget did not follow what we wanted. We wanted it to follow up with the beneficiary himself. If we transformed the beneficiary, we will guarantee to serve for the citizen, basically. And it's built on this principle. That's why now we focus on the beneficiary. We focus on the citizen himself. Now we are focusing on the hope, not the pain. To know about this policy, that we did transform from the bed to the beneficiary. About IHSA Center, what they did is that they went to the beneficiaries. That's why they discovered the illnesses that they have, and it found that more than 50,000 with diabetes, and they found that only 35% of people. That's why they used the IUT and the health care that they found. They raised up the percentage to 70%. What did this mean? Is that we invested in hope that all people. Of course, this means more time with their families, and all people can stay in their jobs. What is the effort that they did is that the efficiency of expenditures is more and more. That's why we invested, and I thank all those in IHSA Center to did this initiative. If we talked only about the beds, they will prepare the beds for only people who are in the late stages. That's why the citizen quality life will decrease. That's what the Crown Prince did, is that the people health is a priority. And of course, we in the ministry, we all prove this. Because before that, we were not the Ministry of Health, we were the Ministry of Illness. But now we are investing more in treating and the hope, not the pain, to benefit the beneficiary more. And another example is the first council in Riyadh that discovered population and found some challenges and communicated with the human resources and found out that some people did not have any visits for the healthcare, and they didn't know anything about their health. That's why they made that's why they found out that some people did not have the opportunity to go by themselves. And of course, their priority is to serve and give the services for people. And some of them in this program were not able to go to this center. That's why what the center did is that giving the care in their houses, and this is a part of what we benefit from, is that the budget is based on the beneficiary, not the bed. What we did before 3 weeks in Jazan, I was in a visit, and that's what we did is to reach out to citizens, and that's what made my day. The day I was in a center where I met a person that he visited this center based on his awareness about the checking, and he thought that he didn't have any health issue, but when he visited the center, of course he found out that he has health issues, and he told me about his story, and he was happy that he told me about this story. His sugar level decreased, of course, and he lives now with his family. If we didn't discover this person, of course, maybe he will have a sugar coma. But now he reached out that all the medicines he doesn't use. What does this mean is that in our vision 2030, the citizens in the kingdom, we lost 13 years of the patient life that he spends only in his illness. That's what we did, is to reduce the mortality level, and we reduced this number. So these policies that focus on the beneficiary is the good example for the healthcare, and we don't have much time to talk about all the points. Thank you. Because the health of people is a priority. Let's talk about the Ministry of Education. Of course, you had many achievements in 2023 in the schools and the university. What are the goals for this year? Now that we talked about the achievements, it's very important to achieve our goals is to build up on what we achieved already. And this is our goal, is that the Ministry of Education is that it worked in the last years, and it had many great outcomes by testing our students, and and the kingdom, of course, now is developed in many sectors and many fields. In addition, that in the 5th of December, we reached out to more than 19 points. And of course, this is a result for all the efforts, and more than 200,000 students participated and gained more than 60 gifts and presents and medals and certificates. And it's very important to mention our teachers and colleagues who also took many presents and gifts. And this highlights the importance of the educational system. If we talked about all of these, for example, about the kindergarten, of course, the percentage of the kindergarten enrollment has increased 30%, and this is a part of our strategy to improve the educational sector, to improve the educational field, to achieve all the results that we are looking for. And if we talked about the program of the custodian of the two holy mosques, there were many students who we sent to best universities in the world, and there are more than 90 projects that we worked on, and we worked with the Ministry of Finance to work on the schools and the universities in all the regions of Saudi Arabia. And of course, that's why we need to improve the educational sector. Also, the role of private sector is very important. And we have a council in the ministry with the partnership of many ministries and entities to serve the private sector, to give the services in a better way. Also, we have the governmental entity. We have a council that is related to the governmental entities and the university education. Not only the Ministry of Education and the private sector, but also the entities that can enable this sector. If we talk about the third field, is that the Ministry of Education has a great role, that there are many of those who are under the governmental entity. They volunteer to serve all the students in different regions of the kingdom. And we have the integrated fund to give the relation between and the links between us. This is briefly only. Thank you, Your Highness. Of course, they asked me to talk briefly. The last question to answer shortly. Your Highness, how do you see the educational future in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia? Briefly, the role of the Ministry of Education is very clear. It's that to give much interest in the teacher, because of course the teachers are very important. The other one is the curriculum. And the curriculum, of course, we need to enhance the role of the curriculum center to have integrated center with the partners and the culture and everything, because now the curriculum is a set of all the skills. And the other thing, the third one is the environment of education, is that to enhance the interest in the educational field, not only it's a building, but also to talk about the environment itself, the social environment and everything. The last thing, we will have an investment in the digital learning and digital transformation that has a big role to link between the student and the teacher. And the important thing is to reach out to the family itself and to have a platform and a digital system to help us to analyze all the schools and universities and and we need to have the decision based on all of these. Thank you. About the Ministry of Health, what are the policies that affect directly to the citizens? This is a part of the Ministry of Health, is to give the services for everyone. The Ministry of Health will be the one who gives the services. And what we have, the method that we have in the health system is to build the policies based on the researches that the good researches, and then we will compare between these policies and their effect on the kingdom. What we did is with the medicine authority is to decrease the salt in the products, and of course no one noticed that this difference, but of course that what we did is to reduce the salt in the products like the bread and other things. We have more than 3 years that we did that we reduced, and that's what happened is reducing the mortality level in the year. And only that's with only one policy that we applied in the kingdom, and I will give you the results that we reached to. Also, the policy of the calories, and all the restaurants and all the supermarkets, they give the details about the calories, and we applied all of this. These policies, and before it was not clear, but now it's part of our lives, and everyone can know that. And if we talk, for example, about the pizza, it's the calorie that's written about the slice or about the whole pizza. It reduces the mortality in 1 year, so reducing the calories can reduce the mortality levels. This was not. This was in investing with the hope. We don't wait until the citizen will get sick because of that. Before 10 years. In Riyadh, we had only one street to walk in. What was the name of that street? It was the street. It was the street of Homel, in which we didn't have the policy of walking all the time. And the vision of 2030 is that all the sectors work for this human being to improve more and more. Now we have in all neighborhoods, places to walk, and many people walk in these places. And thanks to the sport ministry, about all the gyms in all the neighborhoods, of course, they reduce the possibility of having the strokes and 30%. And this, of course, is a number in the hospitals. And these policies are applied, thank God. And I thank all of those who participated in these policies, which reduce the mortality level. We were 600 mortalities, and now we have only 500. We wanted to reach out to 400, and His Highness asked us to reduce it to 300. Of course, I want to give you your time, but they are pushing me to finish this session. I wanted to give you much time. The Ministry of Health is talking about the calories in the pizzas. I know that the time is. I want to talk briefly about the development sector and the strategy of support. And now, of course, the government, thank God, it worked with the Ministry of Economy. We have more than 123 support program for all those who need the support. And these programs, of course, all the ministries can give these programs, such as the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Economy, and all the ministries. We had a strategy to give all of these programs to reach out to the goal to cancel the integration between these. And thank God, in our ministry, the Labor Ministry, we have more than 3 support programs. And in 2023, we have more than 86 billion reals in the funding these projects. And the important thing about this is that one of the achievements is that we were able to enable more than 80,000 projects, and all of these now they could be independent, and of course they enhance our economy. As we said, that the support is a right for the citizen. We also are seeking to enable all of these people who need this support to be independent. Thank you, Your Excellencies. Thank you, our guests. Now we will move to the next period. We will move out to a better place that is good for our kingdom. Thank you, Your Highness, Your Excellencies, for your participating and your rich discussion. Thank you, the mentor of this session. Now we will have a break for 14 minutes, and we will come back at 12:30 to complete our program.
حضورنا الكريم، نرجو منكم أخذ مقاعدكم لاستكمال برنامج الملتقى. حضورنا الكريم، نستكمل معكم برنامج الملتقى بعد دقائق قليلة. نرجو منكم أخذ مقاعدكم. أصحاب المعالي والسعادة، ضيوفنا الأكارم، أجدد الترحيب بكم في ملتقى الميزانية لعام
again
2024
to the 2024 Budget Forum. Let's complete our program where we're going to talk through the third session about the sustainable development within the framework of the budget as well. I invite His Excellency the Minister of Environment, Water and Agriculture, Engineer Abdurrahman Fadli, His Excellency the Minister of Housing, Rural and Municipal Affairs, Mr. Al Hakail, and His Excellency Mr. Salah Al Jassar, the Minister of Transport and the Justice Sector. And this session is going to be a moderator. Good afternoon, everybody. May Allah actually bless you all, and welcome to the third session of the 2024 Budget Forum. And we'd like to congratulate ourselves and all the citizens as well, and the wise leadership of this great country, the issuance of this budget and the announcement of this budget, as we're talking about sustainable development. This concept, which has been actually which came in the last quarter of the last century as well, and based on the launch of the Vision 2030, sustainable growth, sustainable development was actually a joint goal and a common goal of the public sector and the private sector and non-profit sector as not-profit sector as well. We cannot actually talk about the economical role, but we can talk about other multiple roles which played in the social domain, in addition to many industrial domain as well. So let's talk with their excellencies about what happened achieved in sustainable development as well. I start with His Excellency the Minister of Environment, Water, Agriculture, Mr. Abdurrahman Al Fadli. Please, and I would like to congratulate you, for the issuance and the announcement of the budget as well. Let's talk about the latest efforts as well that have been witnessed in the sector. And so as to increase the quality of life and the lifestyle of life, and for both citizens and residents according to the Vision 2030 for them. To what extent you have been actually contributing to achieving such kind of goal in the Ministry of Agriculture? First of all, I would like to congratulate the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the wise leadership, the citizens as well as the announcement and the issuance of this important budget. I would like to refer to the importance of this budget, which comes in a complementary phase of a previous budget, in addition to the base for other coming, forthcoming budgets as well. We cannot separate this budget, from what has been done before and what is going to come in the future as well, because we have the same kind of methodology and actually, according to what has been planned, for example, there's a very slight percentage that differs this budget from many budgets before. When you talk about, for example, the sustainable development based on the SDGs of the United Nations, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, we are focused on 5 goals. Of the SDGs of the United Nations. And we worked on the environment strategy based on a very completely conducted study so as to bridge the gaps that we need, for example, to deal with. Thereby, we actually came to have baseline very clear and clear programs, and consist of 65 initiatives. We're going to invest an amount of 55 billion Saudi riyals based on its great value and importance as well. In addition to setting other examples in this regard, as I mentioned here, for example, today we have in the Ministry of Agriculture, which is the waste management sector, for example, what has been recycled, for example, can be reaching 3 and 4%, which is the least in the world. So we're going to recycle to reach the percentage of 95. Recycling means necessarily the necessary contribution, the GDP, based on the conservative numbers and figures, which actually is an amount of 120 billion. So what's really important to mention here in sustainability, or to achieve sustainability, achieve it these ways as well, which will reach, I think, 1 million tons. If it's not recycled, so we cannot achieve sustainability. And we need to recycle this waste and reuse it, and then we come up with products from this waste as well that will develop other sectors. When we're talking about wastes as well, so there are very harmful and hazardous industrial, medical hazardous waste is to deal with such waste type scientifically and based on the good and sound methodology that will avoid hazards and keep hazards away from the society and the community as well. Praise be to God, we have a complete infrastructure and ecosystem as well. We have a center that focuses on taking care of waste as well. We have private sectors working in this field, and they have been actually sensed as well. We have a PIF owned company which is going to be an investor and an enabler at the same time to increase the momentum in this regard, the waste recycling sector. When you look about the wildlife, for instance, we're going to increase, for example, the number of the maritime reserves to reach 30%. We came to achieve 17 reserves and conservations. Last year and the year before last year, for example, as the sandstorm, which have been registered and recorded by the center, is the least 10% only, which based in comparison of what has been recorded in the last 10 years. This actually is due to the role of for example, the rainfalls. Seedling, cloud seeding, and for example, we preserved more than 90,000 hectares. We came to grow as many trees as possible as well. We have actually a system of monitoring the environmental system that means quality of air, quality of water, means that really that the quality of life is considered as well. It's not often which is not seen by the ordinary man or the statesman as well. So when we can talk as much as we can about this, but I think that we are on track as regards the waste management or recycling as well and preserving the environment. When we talk about sustainable development, one of the most important goals is to focus on food security. The ministry as well has authority, the authority of food security with the clear strategy as well. And this is what we do exactly. Your Excellency, Ms. Majid, may Allah bless you, Mr. Majid. You are one of the pioneers of the budget as well. We talk about, one of the most important sectors as well, which is the housing sector as well. The housing file, for example, is very important for the citizen. And I want from you, Your Excellency, for example, stop for a while to talk about, for example, the beginning of housing and the story of the earlier story. In the name of Allah, most compassionate, God, peace and mercy be upon our Prophet Muhammad. Praise be to God first of all. It gives me much pleasure and honor to extend my appreciation and gratitude to the custodian of two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz, and His Royal Highness Crown Prince, asking Allah from the bottom of my heart so as to make it a very blessed a budget and with great returns on the population of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I would like to extend my appreciation to His Excellency, the Minister of Finance and his team as well, who works so hard on this budget, and extending my appreciation to every minister as well to talk about what every entity going to do according to this budget as well. Wishing them all the best. Housing the housing sector. It started with the programs of the vision as one of the most important programs that really focused on three phases. The first of which is to focus to reach 70% by 2030, and the minister was very keen so as to achieve a sustainable program, and which is not only depending on the public spending, but however it will depend on four pillars that will enable, first of all, how, for example, to have, offer and a supply that will be consistent with the income of the citizens, different classes of the society, and the second pillar to provide available and possible financing for those who want to be financed to finance these residential units, and the third pillar is the regulations and systems in the field of real estate must be very clear and enabling as well, and helping and assisting to continue the work in the infrastructure and the ecosystem as well, either, for example, in rental or ownership as well in different forms. And the fourth pillar as well, how, for example, to enrich the journey of looking for the house and to make it very clear, and to enrich the journey of having and owning a house as well. So the journey that ended in 2020, it was the construction phase, and the goals was to achieve 60%, and praise be to God. We came to achieve 47, and we achieved 60%, serving more than 140,000 families as well in this regard. So from 2020, we had to increase, for example, the ownership percentage by 1%, and every year we inject, for example, an amount of 100,000 family to own house ownership, to increase the ownership of of the citizens as well, because the population increases year after another. From 40 to 45,000 families, new families. So, for example, to achieve the 1%, you need to achieve 2% growth. If you don't do anything, you will go down as well by 1%. We need, for example, to remain and to continue with the same kind of momentum that we are achieving. So, in the second phase, we were very keen, for example, to enable as many people as we could, for example, in financing and in the private sector as well. And the private sector participated in constructing and establishing these factors as well. And the second phase, we call them the developing phase of the products that were done in the first phase. We became able to see as many real estate developers as we can. We are very proud of them. For example, we want, for example, to target other developers from outside the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, for example, to focus on the residential apartments and units, and to focus on the values of housing as well, by injecting more than 5,000 residential units with the developers, especially in provinces that witness, for example, high prices in Riyadh, in Jeddah. So I don't want to take long time to talk about this. So we're very keen to concentrate on the needy people, the needy classes, needy families. Well, this year we enabled more than 30,000 families so as to benefit from this program, as well so as to benefit from these residential units. At the same time, from 17,000 families, they came to be owners, and the number was more than 90,000 families in this regard. And we continue our numbers as well every year until we reach, for example, the 65% of the house ownership in 2050 and 2030 as well, 2026 and 27 and 2030. Mr. Al-Jasser, I would like to renew my congratulations as well. Welcome back again. So the Minister of Transport and Logistics Services is one of the most important ministers that really witnessed the new sectors, which was launched by His Royal Highness Crown Prince 2 years ago. There are great transformations in this sector as well, witnessing great reforms. And I want to hear from you, Your Excellency, for example, how this affected the logistics sector, all of these great transformations. First of all, I'd like to start as well, and by myself, to congratulate the wise leadership, citizens, residents as well, of actually passing and approving this great budget and large, which actually stresses the continuation of the development programs to develop, for example, and the list of programs. At the same time, and the Minister of Finance as well, did its best as well. And unfortunately, does not actually receive the great thanks from ministers, unfortunately. But based on the tangible efforts and the great reforms conducted and done by the Minister of Finance, actually, cooperating with all the government entities and so multiple programs, and which resulted in great efficiency and effectiveness of the spending, and covering all the priorities and priority-based strategies, national strategies, and the institutional transformations in the financial sector. At the same time, the speed and the efficiency and effectiveness of actually paying the dues to the contractors. All of these things have been covered, have been solved. And that's the reason why we thank His Excellency, the Minister of Finance, in addition to our colleagues and Minister of Finance, and we apologize for them for not giving them the due appreciation words, because they are always under the pressure. Because the big responsibility of all of us is to achieve the goals and to be more responsible to achieve the national goals as well. As a matter of fact, in the Ministry of Transport and the Transport Sector and Logistics Services, we are witnessing great transformations, and due to the reforms, the hierarchical structure reforms that are led by the Crown Prince's Royal Highness Crown Prince as well, through launching the National Strategy of Transport and Logistics Services, which is a complete strategy, integrated strategy. Its essence, actually, internally it aims to change the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to become an international logistics services hub, and pushing forward investments in all the aspects of transport, and provide services enabling services to all the sectors and all the sectors, other sectors, either tourism, Hajj and Umrah, and trade industry, and the quality of life. And in addition to the mega projects as well, all of these projects will be fully depending on such kind of strategy as well. We are working collaboratively so as to achieve the goals of all of these sectors. And these are the reforms. And what's going to actually be following through the investment and spending on this sector is a real investment, because it has a great tangible revenues and results in achieving the quality of life for citizens and the efficiency of the work of other sectors. Well, the more we spend, either, for example, from the public budget or and to your knowledge, what is spent actually by the public budget in this sector is the least, but the large part which is spent on this sector comes from the private sector. I mean, the PIF, the PIF Public Investment Fund is a major partner in the transport system through its investments. In addition, the private sector as well, participation, contribution, are the greatest investors in this important sector, as a matter of fact. And all the regulatory, reforms, in addition to operational reforms, were designed so as to enable these kind of investments in this, in these sectors. As a matter of fact, all the indicators, all indices will stress and will confirm that we are on track, on the right track as well. For example, we started only 2 years since the launch of this strategy by Rohan's conference. For example, when you look at the index, the logistic, performance, the index has been actually achieving the 17th position, for example, in the logistic performance index, in addition to the connection, the maritime connection, and is an index, for example, from Unique Tech, and at the beginning of 2019. This index as well was 58 points, with a difference of 17 points actually from the other partners. And now, in 2030, we want to achieve 75 points. Now we achieved 77 points. I would like, for example, what has been added to these points: 27 new lines, actually navigation lines that connect the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It will be very impactful, for example, in the speed of delivering the imports and exports. The prices of shipment as well are affected positively by the increase of connection. The air connection as well, has actually achieved a boom. 14 positions. Now the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is number 13 in the 13th position in the arrangement of connection as for the order of connections globally. And the main goal is to achieve the aviation goal to be one of the best 5 countries in connection as well, in addition to many other indices that actually prove the efficiency and effectiveness of the performance of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which indicate that we are on the track as well, and we're looking forward to implementing the vital and important projects that are under construction, that are worked by the Ministry of Transport, and all sectors will also achieve all the goals which have been actually included in the National Strategy for Transport and Logistics Services. Your Excellency, Engineer Abdurrahman, now we talk about sustainable development and the 17th goals of the United Nations. And one of these goals, for example, is clean water. For example, achieve clean water. And there is high demand on the clean water, either in the urban sectors, industrial, agricultural. And today, for example, you were enabled, for example, to fulfill this demand. What about the percentages achieved in this regard as clean water or water in general? To talk about water, for example, is very important. It's very important to talk about water. And let's talk, first of all, what we should do, for example, so as to keep and to achieve these percentages, to serve our citizens and this sector as well. And for the time being, we have very clear strategies, water strategies, what we should do and what we must do, these days as well, so as to keep water and to develop the service related to water in addition to its services and to ensure its safety. And for the first time today, for example, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, can say that we started this, for example, 2 or 3 years ago, for example, and it's always we have a program depending on demand and supply. We know the demand on water, for example, until 2050, and we have very important and proper plans so as to fulfill this demand and to respond to this demand in 2050 as well. We know now we know the necessary water resources. This is the first thing, and now the compass is very clear and the destination is very clear, and to reach for it to deliver water to a household, for example, in Hail or in Slail or Riyadh. I mean, for example, it must pass by big projects, numerous projects as well. So it's starting from producing water, and now we're dealing with the private sector and with the General Authority of the Water Desalination to produce water. And 2016, we were producing around 5 million cubic meter of water. Now we are producing 11 cubic meter of water. Now we'll reach 14 million, and in 2030 we're going to achieve 18 million cubic meters. And producing water is not enough to deliver or to provide it for supply. We must have, for example, transport lines with in an amount of 10 billions. Now we have 14 billion meter, and we're with a capacity of 14 million. And 15,000 kilometers now length. So within the 2-3 years to come, for example, we're going to increase the number, for example, to reach 18,000 cubic meters, for example, to 20,000 kilometers long, and which is the longest in the world. This is the longest in the world. And today, for example, we have highly developed devices, and these devices, for example, of high efficiency. I'll try to cite an example in this. The General Authority on Establishment of Desalination actually came up with more than 40 patents and to prove our capacity to produce water. I mean, through cost and efficiency of energy is the best and is the best globally. Until today, for example, this is something that is proven by numbers, figures, and which act within this long journey, and we'll continue this journey. And for example, through our participation in private sector, we have a company and Sharakat, divided into 40 projects in an amount of 97 billion Saudi riyals within the last 4 years. I mean, we came to a financial closing, so it means that Chile we came to start projects with the private sectors, for example, in amount of more than 25 billion Saudi riyals in 15 or 20 projects. The freshwater or desalinated water will reach 75 provinces and regions as well for the first time, for example, within the 18th months. And we're going to develop the level of the water quality, especially in the eastern region as well, within the coming year. This is what's related to the use in the urban regions as well. These are the national strategic goals to us to reuse the treated water in industrial fields, agriculture, in the green initiative of Saudi Arabia, or in municipalities as well. So thereby, we need, for example, to benefit from every drop of water available to all of us, and the maximum use, and to double the benefits, and to grasp actually the return and the social and economic return accordingly. This is a great successful story. It's a story. It's a long story. It's a long journey. It's a long journey. It will continue this journey, God willing. Your Excellency, Mr. Majid Al Hakil, I'm asking about the most important aspect as for the humanitarian cities and humanitarianization of cities as well. I observed some of your journeys as well for the humanitarianization of cities. I'm asking about one of the most important project which was launched. I mean, could you talk about Badger project? Yes, yesterday, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince in his speech, that the figures of the budget, the numbers of the budget, I mean, will be enabling a number of program initiatives that will enhance the infrastructure, for example, and to increase the level of quality services will be provided to residents as citizens and the visitors as well. So based on this great speech of His Royal Highness Crown Prince as well, would like for it to say that there will be more prosperity, taking into consideration of the cultural, social, and industrial and economic role to achieve the goal of 2030 vision as well. We were very keen during last year only to raise 20 until 23 in last year and 20, and to raise the quality of services in cities and to develop the cities as well, and to humanitarize the cities to create happiness for citizens and for residents as well, and to be much better, to perform much better than before in urban planning as well. That was built on using cars. So one of the most important goals that we worked on was, first of all, so as, for example, to remove any pollution, any visual pollution in cities, and we came to determine more than 43 elements, for example, to be removed. Visual pollution, sources, and work with all the people working, for example, His Excellency, Mr. Al-Fadli, His Excellency, the Minister of Transport, work with all related entities and all the entities that they provide services like electricity, water, how, for example, all and collaboratively to develop the cities and improve the cities, for example, for today, and according to the last referendum and survey, and we came to see 3% growth of the improvement of cities as regards the visual pollution. This is the start, this is the beginning, because it's going, for example, to take a long time until it becomes very mature. And Bahja project, we were thinking how to today in 800 meters, how, for example, the resident in this 800 meters and to enjoy, for example, having a garden, having, for example, a very well urban planned district where his family and his sons and daughters live with all provided services. So the garden is one of the most important elements for the time being. For example, it came to achieve 58% in the residential complexes. We have, for example, a park, and, for example, even all the real estate interventions, intersections as well. Most of the main roads which were specified for cars. We came, for example, to develop the pavements, sidewalks, for example, to develop those roads, the public spaces as well, public spaces and parks. All of these things, for example, help us to develop such kind of district as well. The example that I set as well in Jeddah is one of the most one of the coastal and the maritime regions, for example, so as to change it into a complete life where it can be enjoyed by the residents and by inhabitants, and create, we call the whole project Bahja, because it's happiness, which this will create much more happiness for residents, visitors, and citizens as well, and will raise, for example, the level of providing of this provided services, so as to seek more social economic dimensions as well, God willing. Engineer Saleh, today we're talking about, for example, the role of the Minister of Transport, which will lead us to return back again to the goals of 2030 vision, where to connect the three continents as well. So, and I'm going to talk about the ports, and there is a great momentum, for example, taking place in the country, so as to raise the operation efficiency and effectiveness. Here we want to concentrate on Saudi ports. And, for example, now let's talk about this momentum that we can see in ports as well, and the maritime sector, for example, and the seaports, specifically witnessing great leap in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Ports, for example, do not deal with the citizen directly, but, however, the impact of the seaport, for example, on the citizens is great, and it can be seen greatly as well, because about 90% of the world, the export and imports and the trade as well is done through seaports. So the efficiency of seaports and ports is very important element, so as to achieve the welfare of the citizens, and the impact of which is very clear during the pandemic, was very clear based on the fact that the efficiency available and the strong infrastructure in a time where there was low volume in the maritime transport and sector, estimated by 16%. The country, Saudi Arabia, was achieving 5% growth in the number of containers which came in 2020 to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the seaports as well. One of the most important things we need, for example, to know, and which is really remarkable and worth noticing, nearly most of the investments that are seen in the seaport, for example, are in participation with the private sector. We have, for example, the main support contracts where terminals, for example, to deal with the containers in the main seaports are private sector investments as well, and estimated by 17 billion Saudi riyals from companies that operate the seaport of Islamic Jeddah port and King Abdulaziz seaport in Dammam, and investment for in the long run to achieve the efficiency, the logistic efficiency of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. In addition to all of this, and the investment and growth, the participation with the private sector is accompanied, and with the development achieved by indices, accompanied by reforms, regulatory reforms in these seaports, facilitating the process of the entry of ships and vessels and exit, and the integration that we can say with the operating sectors. Because, for example, the seaport is like the airport, it's like that is based on integration efforts with all the government entities, such as security entities and health entities, customs, and even the municipalities. For example, they have places over there. Based on the intersecting, mobility and movement, integration is great, is on the largest scale among all of these entities that truly have been impacted on the entry and the exit of the vessels in fast time in the world. So this is the point of attraction in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. That's the reason why I mentioned the growth in the number of the 27 aviation lines as well, navigation lines in 1 year. And the seaports became very attractive to new type of investments, and completes the work of the seaports, which is investment in the logistic zones. And for the time being, for example, in Jeddah, we have 8 logistic zones newly established, 3 of which have been opened and 5 under construction. For example, who can do all of these investments at the same time? This is the private sector's effort as well. Anytime, any owners, for example, the great lines, the great navigation lines, and the operators, for example, the containers terminals at the same place at the seaport, in addition to the international multinational companies specialized in logistics services as well. All of these kind of things will enhance the integration in logistic sector and efficiency at the same time, in addition to the initiatives, the newly established initiatives to connect the seaports with the airports as well, because the seaports were related to roads for the time being, and for the time being working so hard to enhance the connection and integration between the different seaports and the different types of transport. We have direct connection between the seaports and the airport. Future it will be connection between the seaport and the logistic zones, and the dry boats near the train stations will in an expansion based plan to what is existing in Riyadh, and this will increase the connection, which will actually result in the logistic efficiency. Your Excellency, Engineer Abdurrahman, short time ago, in quick time, for example, I would like to hear from you. Now, how does the ministry contribute to achieving the food security? To what extent this will impact, for example, the welfare of the citizens? Your Excellency, Minister of Environment. And if self-sufficiency and food sufficiency, it doesn't mean that we have to produce everything that we need. So for the time being, at the present time, we have a very clear strategy of food security, for example, for man needs, for example, to be alive, for example, 2,700 calories as well. We determine this, and we determine the sources, for example, on the strategic dimension, in addition to water network as well. There are certain kind of determinants as well, and factors that will help us to produce such kind of products, in addition to many other factors that do not help us to produce such kind of products as well. We have food security authority is based on strategies as well. One of the most important initiatives we're going to hear for the coming days as well, there is for the alarming system, so as to predict and to forecast any shortage and any deficiency of resources or any disorder in any supply chains for facing any strategy that we are focusing on. For the time being, we're producing 11 tons of the agricultural products as well. We could increase, for example, the self-sufficiency of products, for example, that can be produced internally and locally in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia without affecting for water. We know that water, for example, is not only, we need to have balance between the use of water for agriculture and to preserve it for drinking purposes. We don't have to make any part for excel the other or overwhelm the other, because this will not good for all of us, actually, for the national strategy. I set examples for products such as vegetables, for instance. So, for example, we came to nearly came to achieve self-sufficiency. We came to review priorities. Last year, we came to produce 1,500,000 of weight, tons of weight, at the expense of other products that were wasting waters in a way or another. So, for example, 1,500 tons actually, I mean, fulfill 50% out of needs. But emergency, for example, we might reach 100% of our needs. At the same time, we have a private sector, effective Saudi private sector. I mean, that's the reason why we encourage the private sector, for instance, through the loans, actually, I mean, provided by the Agriculture Development Fund. Last year, we came to buy 1 million tons of weight as well from Saudi companies. So, for example, if we produce 1,500,000 and we bought about 1 million tons of weight as well, so what's left for us to do is to actually produce 1 million ton through, for example, public offering or for example, a public bid or tender for companies. What I can say based on the importance of the food security issue, it's based on 3 pillars. For example, increasing the local content, at the same time, for example, the volume of waste. Unfortunately, we're wasting 33% on the consumption, and we have a program to limit us to reach 10% in 2030 of waste, for example, so to cooperate with others to play an important role as well. This is actually estimated by 1 billion Saudi riyals, for example. So as a result of the annual waste of resources, so the other thing, the third pillar is the private sector, Saudi private sector, and for investments in countries with relative advantage and a percentage as well. And I would like to refer to something very important related to this. In 2022, when there has been lack of balance of chain of supply because of international factors, there has been actually a fast resolution process to allocate 10 billion Saudi riyals in numerous days. In few days, we came to respond positively. The Saudi did not feel anything during Corona pandemic as well, and even for other international condition crisis will not affect anything here locally. This is actually a successful mechanism to improve more and more, but we are on track. By the end of the day, we're on track. Mr. Majid as well, Your Excellency, when we're talking about, for example, municipal sector, I mean, what's really important, for example, to talk about the balance and harmony and the intensive efforts between the private sector and the community and the public sector and the local community. I want to ask you, for example, what has been done by the ministry related to the social responsibility towards the community. As a matter of fact, the municipal sector is based on the nature of its work is very closer to is very similar to 30% of the services are provided in the city comes from the municipality, and 30% of the services are provided. We are aiming to achieve 70% of our work to be privatized. We're working with the privatization center or the program privatization, for example, to privatize, for example, reaching 19% in 2023, targeting, for example, 30% out of the services provided. We are going to privatize 30% of the services within the coming few years in 2024 until we reach, for example, the ultimate goal, which is estimated by 70%. In addition to other difficult services that cannot be privatized, for example, because of the lack of the absence of the financial framework that will make the citizen not to actually to bear the costs as well. That comes through the private sector. For example, try to talk about the parks as well. We have parks and the public parks that can be privatized. Why? Because it has a return, for example, through the services provided inside the parks. And you can, for example, make the park, for instance, a source of income as well. So we have parks that cannot be privatized. Why? Because they are in a very limited residential district as well. It doesn't have any commercial revenues or investment revenues in return. So in such case, for example, we try to make 5% of our work to make the third sector, the non-profit sector, is to run and to manage all of these parks as well, so as to continue in supporting, let me say, for example, the main pillars, and the capital cost as well in a large scale. So when I'm talking about the volunteering, issue, as you mentioned, the Minister of Social, the Minister of Labor and Human Resources and Social Development plays an important role. Does a great job in volunteering, issue. And I was very much honored, for example, to become one of the volunteers in some of their programs targeting through the Vision 2030, so as to have 1 million volunteers. Now we came to have 700,000 volunteers. 3,000 were from the municipal sector as well, for the participation, 300,000. The main reason is that most of the municipal works, for example, are very closer to citizens and can be touched by citizens. It's easy to work in such fields as well, which are closer to the citizen at 10. And we work with other entities, and I'm very much honored, for example, so as to we came to establish the Society of Keeping the Blessing, which is going to be one of the most important establishments that will help the community to keep blessing as well. The establishment of, for example, honoring the dead, so as to, for example, to provide good services in such domain. And at the same time, we try to bring the third sector as well. We have, for example, establishment of second housing during the working in such kind of platform. I extend my appreciation to every player, every player. I mean, we brought more than 1 billion Saudi riyals during our last Ramadan as well. So the good thing is to enable the good citizen to participate. There is a very serious intention as well, and we would do our best to provide the services where we can let the citizen benefit from such kind of initiatives. And Your Excellency, Engineer Saleh, Your Excellency, you talked today a short time ago about, for example, the aviation sector. I mean, playing an important role in providing logistics service as well. So I know, for example, now I want to know more and more about the role of the aviation sector in supporting the sustainable development and the goals of sustainable growth and development as well. The aviation sector is one of the most important sectors, and at this sector is witnessing great transformations, restructuring, radical structuring in the Ministry of Aviation in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and firms are transforming in the operation model, changing the operation from one carrier, national carrier, distracted and confused and scattered in different multiple airports, so as to become two air carriers, main carriers, that operate both the two centers, international operation centers, and each of them, is connecting this, center, with all the provinces and the world, the whole world countries. We are changing from 1 million to 330 millions, and from 100 provinces to more than 200 destinations. This is one of the most important goals. This plan has been implemented, starting to be implemented through the announcement of the public plan of King Salman Airport, which is going to be the largest of its own kind in the whole world. It's under implementation measures and procedures, establishing Riyadh, a new aviation company. So Riyadh will operate operation center in Riyadh and connects it with 200 and 250 destinations all around the world. Saudi Airlines as well, with all its capacities and resources. And in addition to the future expansion, Saudi Airlines will intensify its efforts from King Abdulaziz Airport, connecting it with all the provinces of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and with the whole world as well. In addition to the Saudi Airlines announced and declared, and Riyadh Airways, announced great competitions. Of large capacity planes as well, and fleets. In addition to announcing the future vessels, carriers that these companies will have as well, and carriers. And in addition to the reforms and plans as well, are not only confined to airports or the airlines or companies as well, but as well extended to the air services, land services, and catering, maintenance, all the services that are related to the aviation industry. At the same time, in this perspective, it was organizational sector is witnessing great transformations. In line of this great growth and this transformation and changes. Well, there are many regulations, many laws that have been actually passed. That as the economic policies regulation, which is public for the aviation sector, which focusing on attracting investment about and opening the markets, as well to adopt embracing transparency, the rights of passengers, which have been announced lately and recently as well. That has a great impact too, is to increase the quality of services provided in the aviation sector. In the transport sector, there is a complete integrated work focusing on safety. We came to establish the safety center in the transport sector for all different types of means of transport. It's a complete strategy, very comprehensive, very overall. And the other issue is that it has been taken very further, tangible, steps, very clear steps as well. Talking with all of you, Your Excellencies, is interesting, and it never ends. It's non-stop with all of these government incentives and very ambitious figures and great goals as well. I'd like to extend my appreciation to all of you for this great sharing with us these great achievements under your leadership and under the leadership of our young sons and daughters as well. Your Excellency Salah Al Jasser, the Minister of Transport, Logistics Services, His Excellency the Minister of Environment, Water, Agriculture, Mr. Abdurrahman Al Fadl, Mr. Majid Al Aqil, the Minister of Housing, Rural and Municipal Affairs. Thank you very much for all. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, for such kind of informative session. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. And ladies and gentlemen, of course, I'd like to extend to Mr. Jamal Al-Ma'ikal, the session moderator, who skillfully actually moderated discussing Their Excellencies, talking about the financial development within the framework of the budget as well. The Financial Skills Center is providing a number of services which will actually support the development of the human capital and the human resources in the economy in general, and effectively within the pursuit of the means of finance to achieve financial stability as to enable other sectors. Now we're going, for example, to talk about the most important services which have been provided in 2023. And with the great and fast transformations witnessing the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, so the financial systems, all this is changing. That's why there is a continuous need to develop a new generation of the national cadres and national personnel so as to be well ready so as to lead this financial transformation of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. That's the reason why the Minister of Finance in 2022 has established the Financial Skills Center so as to serve the financial public sector, specifically the specialists in the financial departments and the government entities, and we are focusing on all programs so as to raise the level of the public sector and to achieve all the financial accounts and to enhance transparency and the best use of the financial assets of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia through developing more than 23 practitioners in the financial public finance as well, representing 600 public entities. And the Financial Skills Center has been established after conducting full studies in analyzing 13 institutes from 12 countries, in addition to actually conducting interviews with 52 of the leaders of the kingdom and studying, for example, their reports of priorities according to the goals of the Vision 2030. And due to the fact that our mission is to support the public financial sector as a whole, so we came, for example, to organize all the procurement-related procedures in addition to the responsibilities of financial technical meritocracy, so as to enable the public sectors and entities as well to manage their operations effectively, to co-pace with the requirements of the public sector and the strategies of financial stability and sustainability. The center, for example, has brought together, the theory and the practice to apply a number of tools that will enhance the implementation of the training programs in collaborations with the local and international institutes and training center. That's the reason why all the programs are revolving around the human capital through the learning journey, which will focus on providing all skills to the trainees. And in this perspective, the Financial Skills Center has been working with local international experts so as to design 15 15 programs targeting all the levels. And within the first phase, we came to train more than 2,400 employees representing more than 120 public entities through 11 programs. And with the continuation of the world transformation globally, the Financial Skill Center will work to enable and to train the human personnel, human resources will enable and enhance their efforts so as to achieve the financial stability and sustainability for the future. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and we come to the conclusion of the program for 2024 budget forum as well, with a very interactive and amazing session as well, talking about the promising sectors as well. Let's actually welcome His Excellency Al Kharif. Raymond Dairis is going to moderate this important session, talking about the promising sector of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, with His Excellency Mr. Al Kharif, the Minister of Industry and Mineral Resources. In the name of Allah, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for your coming today.
We will talk now on this session, the promising sectors. We will talk with the Minister of Industry and Mineral Resources, Mr. Bandar Al Kharif, including the mining sector and the goals, the strategic goals in the industry. Welcome with us. And I will start with the first question. Of course, the promising sector. Your Excellency, the mining history is very big and huge. But if we are talking about the mining sector, it's considered new in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Your Excellency, in the last year, if we will talk about the achievements in this sector and what are you planning? Thank you. At the beginning, I want to congratulate the custodian of the two holy mosques and all the Saudi people about this budget. Of course, our courses take much time to see the outcome and the results, but I start every time, as Mr. Faisal said in the mining conference this year. Our goal in the mining sector is economic, not financial, which means that the economic outcome is considered the most important thing to improve this sector. This is the economic goal. By contributing, by the contribution of this goal to support other sectors to save all the resources regarding the international demands, I want to confirm that this is a promising sector as a part of the Vision 2030, because today the Kingdom becomes as one of the greatest countries regarding the mining resources by the participation of the Kingdom about the natural resources and its participation also in the mining conference to help the international community reach out to the natural resources that are used with the industries, with the renewable energy and the electric cars and other industries. So the Kingdom, thank God, despite that this sector is new and the focus on its role is new, but the Kingdom becomes one of the greatest countries. Our plan in this sector are with the three sectors. The first one is to increase our projects. We have geological projects. In this year, 2023, we implemented more than 230 million, which give us the commitment to the quality of and the quantity of the mining resources. The other path is that we worked on the environment that we are working on and the demands of the sector, and we started to see that this sector is one of the best systems in investing in the whole world. By this system, the kingdom learned from many countries, and we know that the mining resources have many impositive implementation before. That's why nowadays we see that the global companies give it a very great effort. And the third one is to link the mining sector with the industry sector, how to improve the outcome. And now we have many projects that we're working on to provide all the mining products that are related to the industry. Also, we are looking to this sector as it attracts the big investments, and also there are as an opportunity for the small companies, for example. That's why we launched the platform Nuthri, as they can start the projects, and this is an international process in many countries in the world. They can benefit from their expertise in this field, and after that they can expand this activity and make a bigger investment. One of the great paths is that the locations that give the importance for and as it gave success for many countries, as what happened with the British company, with the Saudi and Saudi country, with a Saudi company. Also, to provide some spaces to guarantee the enhancement of licenses for investors, and this is one of the biggest challenges that faced the investors. Despite of that, I want to go back to the point that the Minister of Finance mentioned, is that this sector raised the income, and the revenues reached to 1 billion, more than 1 billion, and the licenses number in the last couple of years equals the number of licenses, and that's why we see the importance of this sector. And one of the main important thing is the gold, which witnessed a very great improvement, and our plan in 2030 that we will reach more and more. Of course, our speech will we will talk more and more about this. And if we will talk about the industry sector, I think that the ambitions are different now with the Vision 2030. If you can mention what are the achievements that you did last year, and from your perspective, where are we headed in this sector? Of course, the industrial sector is great, and if we look at the national fund, we will see that it's one of the biggest entities that help and support, and it transformed the economic improvement and transform the Saudi economy to diverse the economic value as we use the industry. Of course, we have many achievements and goals about the GDP and the investments that we target, and the exports. We focus on the quality, of course. If we look at the achievements that we did, for example, in the cars sector, the kingdom is considered as one of the most important countries that work on this sector. Not only one company, but also 3 companies, and it's a mix between the companies, local companies and international companies in manufacturing the electric cars, which is Lucid. And it's important to mention here that choosing the kingdom to be the first place for Lucid is considered as a benefit for us. And the last one is a Hyundai company in the kingdom as one of the greatest companies in the world in manufacturing the cars. Also, the medicine sector, if we focus on it, the importance is about the medicine security through a committee that I am the head of, and as our leadership support us to produce the medicines that are related to tumors, and all of these. I want to mention these examples because today our goal is to create a qualitative products that give us security, national security. Also, we aim to export, and of course, all of these sectors have a sustainability. We say that after about the industrial strategy, the most important thing is investment, and without investment, it doesn't have any value, actually. That's why the investment, we record all the investments, and now we have records for all investors. What we did this year exceeded 70 billion, and we improved more than 50 projects with the value of 90 billions, with a number of investors who are interested in this sector. And of course, we want to improve the licenses that exceeded more than 1,200 industrial licenses this year, and the collective investments exceeded 70 billion. One of the indicators is the infrastructures. We fund the infrastructures, and the number of investments, for example, that are related to modern project is more than 2 billion riyals. And in Yanbu and Jubail communities, And Mudun also reached more than 14 billions if we compare between the governmental entity and the private sector. We will find that there is a result for the industrial investments. The other thing is funding, and today we have from the industrial fund or from the exports, they are considered as one of the biggest support that support many projects in this sector this year. And we find that more than 120 projects were funded this year. The important thing here is the quality, and maybe the first time for this fund is the average of the medium and the small entities is considered as 3 billions from these 13. Also, it participated in one of the biggest, which is the biggest project for that the fund participated in with the 4.6 billion. This gives us a sign for the attraction of investment sector. About the export sector, of course, it worked, or it played a big role in this sector, as the fund gave this year to support the exporters more than 12 billions. Also, the bank fund increased a lot, and this bank was established in the corona pandemic, and we find that exports are increasing more and more. You talked about the medicine sector. Maybe this gives us to talk about the support about the content, the industrial content, only in 5 minutes. The entity is, if I want to choose the biggest support, is the local content entity. It's the biggest support for the industrial sector to support all the projects, and of course His Highness confirm on the local content, and the support of the local content. Its role is very great, and today we have more than 15 products, and those who are benefited from this, it will reach more than 6 billion by the end of 2023, and last year it was 26 billions. This growth, of course, 35% in only 1 year. To apply all of these is a very great support if we want to count the economic industry. We find also growth. The number of factories that benefit from the local content are also a great number. We have also initiatives for the medium and small enterprises. So that's why today we find that the local content is one of the great tools that serve the sector. And in the last forum for it, we find that one of the companies that suffered from the finance or economy, we find that it expands, and the foreign companies, we see that the local content is clear and it attracts investments, not the opposite. And we find that it enhances improvement and development. Also, localization and all of these tools we use today. And as you mentioned, as an example that I confirm today, we have 11 products that aims to be localized, and now we are working on them. Thank you, Your Highness, and thank you, the audience. Of course, we are optimistic of what you achieved this year in the industrial sector, and we are looking forward to all the achievements for the coming projects. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bandar Al-Khaif, and thank you, Ms. Rima. We will finish these discussion panels. And thank you all for coming and listening to this forum. Thank you for listening, and Assalamu alaikum.